the meeting. It's a live meeting at 7 p.m. at the Watertown Municipal Center. And we'll do roll and please state your name clearly so the secretary will be able to get that.
Robert McCarthy.
Jamie Hobart Lambeau.
Richard Antonetti.
Tammy Keenan.
David Genetti. Richard Rossi.
Joshua Berniger, acting police chief.
Right. Tonight, I'd like to appoint Jamie Hobart Lambeau, Commissioner, as replacing the absence of Anthony Capola, our secretary. Okay, one thing I'd like to discuss before we move further is we will be trying to get this meeting hall as a regular meeting place because of the size over at the PD. And I think it also is more convenient even for public participation, as there are times where we have large meetings. And I think it is a more appropriate place to hold the meetings. Our next meeting, we will be pushing hard to have it here. I'll leave it in the hands of our deputy chief, Josh, to move that forward because we'll have the case before us with 3 attorneys. I hope by then we may be able to get some resolve in that matter. One other thing I'd like to ask the commission, and since we're in this beautiful hall and we have wonderful flags present of our state and nation, I've instituted at our planning and zoning meetings a opportunity to do the pledge. At the PD, we didn't have a flag. Would there be any objection to doing the pledge at the regular meetings?
No.
No.
Okay, hearing none, from the future on all meetings here, we will do the pledge. I'll ask for a motion to set that on the regular agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion has been made. Do I have a second? And the motion has been seconded. The motion was made, I believe, by Commissioner Genetti and seconded by Commissioner Lambeau. Okay, let us move on. Public participation. We have a microphone. I believe it's on at the chairs there. Anybody who would like to come forward to testify or make a statement, please do so. Good evening.
Al Mickle, 95 Woodbine Avenue. I could get comfortable here and we could talk all night, but I don't need to. I got 2 things to talk about. One's real easy. We're in the town hall. That's what the building says on the outside, big letters. So saying municipal center, I think, could be confusing to new people in town. So I would suggest you change that. The last time I was here, the last police commission meeting I went to a long time ago, we talked about a new police building. It's not on the agenda tonight, but if the deputy chief could go over what the status is briefly, I certainly would appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that'd like to speak? When you do use the microphone, come forward and just state your name and address.
Catherine Camera, 31 Cottage Place in Oakville. I may end up wanting to speak again because I believe there's people coming in now who are going to make some comments that I might want to add to. And one of the reasons why they might be coming in late is because the website said the meeting was at the police department. So I kind of went kind of fast. I hope I wasn't speeding to get here. They might be after me now. So I'm going to send an email to the town manager's office and just ask them to update that. So just so you know, some people might be late, so public participation could be a problem. So I may want to say something after they do, but I did want to bring up months ago, before COVID hit, I was at a meeting and I did tell you that those shark tooth marks on Main Street in the place where was the most vocal about the issue with the parking, those marks do not go all the way to the sides of the road. They're only in the driving lane. So people who come up to park for businesses there might not see them and then might get ticketed. And I brought that up, I'm going to say maybe in November or so, and I drove by today and it's still like that. It's just a matter of painting a couple more marks into all the way across. It's the only place that I've seen those marks that don't go all the way to the sidewalk. And I think it's really important because that's exactly the area where the businesses were getting hit because people were getting ticketed. So that might not be all I have to say because I might come back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I can respond to that through the chair if you'd like.
Okay,
We talked to Public Works Director Roy Kavanaugh today, and I believe I gave you a memorandum. Number 5 on that memorandum is regarding the roadway safety audit of Main Street. And part of the discussion with the State Department of Transportation, and the reason I believe there's no shark teeth in that particular spot is we're trying to get them to put cross hatching within 25 feet of the crosswalks on each side to make it obviously visible to operators that they can't park right there. So we're in discussions with them now and hopefully we can get them to make those markings.
right. It's glad to hear you're in contact with Public Works Director and also the state, because that is a state road and that's where the problems are. Is there anyone else who'd like to public participation? Feel free.
I'm trying to,
Please state your name
oh,
and
my name
address.
is Ken Cutchin,
Thank you.
Kuchin.
What's
And
your
I'm
address?
here because I'm trying to find out, I
Uh,
live close,
Excuse me, could you say your
oh,
address?
1135 Northfield Road, Watertown.
Thank you.
Okay. I live near the Sunset Grill and I'm trying to find out a remedy for the noise.
The music, I assume.
Excuse me?
Music? The very loud music.
Friday and Saturday nights, sometimes Sundays afternoon. I understand this year, the concern is next year and what can be done. It's twofold. The sound is permeating a lot of the neighbors, and I'm not speaking for anybody but myself. And also it's a lot of traffic, a lot of noise, and I'm very nervous being up here and talking in front of
No,
you
it's
all.
all right. Don't worry about it.
So I'm looking for some kind of a support or direction because their lease is very clear, as well as the town ordinance. And every time I call up and complain, I feel terrible about doing it. And I'm just trying to figure out what we can do for next year. This year is over and done and it's too cold for people to meet. The concern is that they're doing really well. They've got a couple of hundred people there and they're out on the lawn. They're not in the building. And I think they can do better making music and being a bar than they can be being a restaurant. And, you know, they started in late July this year and they just stopped last weekend, I believe was their last weekend. But next year, I'm hoping they won't be able to start in May and continue until October, a good 6-7 months, because you can't sit outside at the house and just enjoy the nighttime. And it ends at 10 o'clock, and that's not terrible, but the noise is so bad, you really can't hear across the dinner table. It's really that bad. So the police chief is the person supposedly, according to the lease, I believe, that enforces the lease. The town ordinance for noise is something different. I don't know how that is enforced or not enforced. I've called up, I think Steve, and a couple of times, and I haven't heard back from him about turning down the noise, but I've met with Nick, the code enforcer that John Gavalis put me in touch with. And, it's over now. I'm just trying to find out what we can do so it doesn't happen again next year.
I think your concern is well taken. I see that this type of venue for outdoor music was, I think, a part and parcel of the COVID situation where indoor dining was prohibited. And right now they're moving back slowly, more indoor dining in order to keep a lot of these businesses alive. So I think the live venue was a way of attracting customers to the various businesses. We, I think, have to consider maybe a ordinance, and that ordinance procedure would have to come through the town council if there would be a noise ordinance. Right now, I don't know if there is an ordinance on the books for decibels of noise. I know there is a decibel level that can be used to control level of noise. We have used that in the past in our planning and zoning meetings where there was the YMCA, the camp that they have out in the area of, I think, your residence. And there's a lake at this particular camp in noise, and they had outdoor music would carry across the water a lot easier because there was no buffer such as trees or anything to deflect the noise. So we did set up a noise device to test the decibels. You're not worried about it this year, but I think we have to take a lot more in consideration using decibels levels that is permitted and what is not permitted. Generally, a lot of times wineries are noted to have music also. And we're aware that our local winery does have music also as a way of attracting people. And those events do create, again, I think, some disruption for the neighborhood. In our planning and zoning, I have asked that a decibel meter be set on the periphery of the winery to test what level the noise is at. Generally, the type of venue is generally a very light music when you're drinking wine. They have, of course, a guitar and a bass and whatnot, but those two do make noise. If, as far as bands, I don't know what type of noise you've been hearing, whether it was a 5-piece band or drums and stuff of that nature. Maybe.
That's the problem with every weekend they have a different band, and some nights there may be more than one band and they bring their own equipment.
Right.
So sometimes it's jacked up much higher than other times. But I was under the impression that amplification was not allowed. And, I'm just curious about that as well. I didn't know you could broadcast and have the sound pass the border or perimeter of your property.
That's where I say we have a device that can check the level of amplification or noise that is permeating out. And we do it even as far as buildings that have generators that can be very antagonistic and noisy to test those levels. So I'm happy that you're here tonight to mention it. And I think it's something that maybe the town council is going to have to consider, and maybe the businesses have to be made aware of this. Did you contact anybody at the?
I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing.
Did you contact anyone?
Yeah, I did. I called the police one night. It was so bad. The first few weeks, I understood it was COVID, and my neighbors who are here also, we understood it was COVID. And that's when we called a couple of times requesting they just turn it down a bit.
What was their reaction?
No return phone call.
Okay,
And that's when I wrote to John, and then John put me in touch with Nick. And I think Nick went up there, and they said one night they turned the speakers around. And that night it was much quieter, but somebody else must have had the effects that night, because that was Friday night. And then on Saturday night, they were back.
you know,
And it's a very complicated, so we didn't want to say anything because we wanted it to work out, but it just got louder and louder as the crowds got larger and larger, and the venue caught on. And the fear is really, this year's over, it's next year.
right. Well,
So what you say is very comforting.
Yep, I'm glad you're here tonight, and we'll give a look into it, and I will make mention to possibly to some of the counselors. And if you want to pursue the matter even further, I would recommend, this is the hall where the council meets, and you too can sit in front of the
Oh,
council.
great.
And now that you've had practice and you're relaxed.
Well, yeah, well, that's a whole nother story.
Right.
But, the idea is everybody wants Watertown to be quiet. And I understand that there's a lot of concern, and I appreciate that. But we'll see. I think they have an easy time of a success now, and I don't wish them anything but that, but they need to stay within the guidelines of the lease.
And that's again what we have to check into too.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. Anyone else?
Hi,
Good evening. Could
I'm
you
Glenn
state?
Clyer.
Yep.
I live at 100 Joshua Town Road, with my family. And there's really not much I can add to what Ken said, other than the fact that we are patrons of Sunset Grill. We eat there, my kids golf there. We have no animosity towards it. We want them to succeed. All we're asking is to please turn the volume down. They won't return my calls. I texted them. I've sent them emails, no response. We've also called the police and asked for their assistance, and to no avail. It's like we're not being heard. We live less than a mile from them, almost a mile. And we can hear every single lyric. We can hear every drum beat. I mean, if I hear "Take a Load Off Fanny" one more time, I'm gonna blow my brains out. It's awful because we can't even enjoy our summers, our weekends. We have to go inside. And all they need to do is just turn the volume down. If we can hear it so clearly a mile away, surely their patrons can appreciate the music with less volume. And that's all we're asking. We're not asking to, curtail the amount of people or any of that stuff. We just want to have our evenings back. So can you tell me when the council meeting is? I'd love to go to that.
The council meets, I believe, every Monday. It's the first Monday of the month, and then I believe the third Monday of the month.
So the next meeting will be Monday.
And the best thing, and I guess Mrs. Camara mentioned, you could get it on the Watertown home page. They should list the meetings, but I believe it is the 2 Mondays in each month, but they do change, so you got to be careful.
Okay, I guess I can call too and ask.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it.
And I think coming before the council would be good too.
Okay.
I think a higher awareness of the problem is always good.
And I can say this, there are other neighbors who are also concerned.
I'm sure.
They weren't able to make it tonight, I guess, but I appreciate your hearing us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Through the chair,
Yes,
I will make contact with the owner of Sunset Grill myself and find out what his intentions are for next year.
thank you. Our Deputy Chief, Josh Berger, you'll be happy to know the police will be involved.
Hi,
Hi.
Pam Clyer, 100 Joshua Town Road. And I just wanted to add a little context. to this situation about the noise. We live in between the Vineyard and Sunset Grill.
Oh,
And last summer and this summer, on the weekends, the Vineyard music would play and it would waft over and you could hear it, but it's nothing like the Sunset Grill. I love music. We love to sit on our deck and listen to music, but we can't because it's so loud. One weekend, we could even hear it inside our home with the television on. So don't want the Sunset Grill to go away. Don't want to impede their ability to make it through these difficult times. Just asking for neighborly courtesy. And we'd be very happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Anyone else would like to speak? Anyone else? Anyone else? Hearing no other comments, we can move on to the agenda. The approval of the September 9, 2020 meeting. I need a motion to approve. Please state your name, Commissioner, on approving of the minutes. Do I have a
I'll make a
motion?
motion to approve the minutes from our September meeting.
Yeah.
And it's Commissioner David Genetti.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner, do I have a second?
Robert McCarthy, I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Abstention? Motion is carried unanimously. Moving on, correspondence. We'll start with Public Works Director, Commissioner, I believe we have a notice here, October 1st, from the Director of Public Works. And I put that on as far as we got it back in October. And I know that it's an area that we're highly concerned with, but in that particular memo, Mr. Kavanaugh states, contractor quote was very high, don't have the funds to cover it. So it will be a part of the upcoming LOT CIP project application for work that would be done next year. Commissioner Rossi, I know you're very concerned with this particular issue.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
There has recently been installed 5 crosswalk notification signs on that same street, and yet he fails to acknowledge the need for a stop sign on that Davley's portion. Now, we had voted on it. It was agreed to and approved by us. So right now, if someone were to get hurt in that intersection for lack of a stop sign, I think we would be legally in trouble here.
Commissioner, you know, I've been constant on,
There's some reluctance on his part to do this. I don't know what it is exactly, but during the course of the 5 sign installation, this could have been accomplished.
I don't know what the dilemma, according to what he's saying in the communication.
Maybe we
He
should,
doesn't have funding for it.
or
So
stop sign,
he does not have
or
funding.
stop sign.
He has a very elaborate,
It's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable.
I understand what you're saying, and I recommended that you
I think
would,
we could be found liable right now, like I said, if someone got hurt there.
I would recommend you directly maybe talk to
Maybe.
Mr. Kavanaugh. I've talked to him. I've gotten emails from him, and he's telling me we don't have the funding. We had this study done by Malone and McBroom. We pushed that forward.
At a cost
That
of how
was-
much?
I believe somewhere around $1,700.
And yet we don't have.
And the study said, yes, this would be done. There's a lot of different aspects to that particular intersection other than just putting the stop sign there. There is street markings, there is curb cuts, there is sidewalk. So there is a lot more that has to be done. And he says he does not have the funding at this particular time. I will send another communication saying that the members of the commission would ask and implore that if the work can be done before next year, we would deeply appreciate it. As you say, it has been voted on. He knows that, but I can't go down there and get the work done myself. So anybody have any suggestions on the commission?
Maybe the town manager should intervene.
Through the chair,
Yes.
I did speak to Mr. Kavanaugh today. This is number 4 on the memo dated today that I did give you. I'm sorry, Commissioner Janetti, I don't think you have one yet. I'll get one over
I'm
to you.
sharing one, thank you.
Mr. Kavanaugh would like to bring that intersection up to code as specified in the Malone, am I saying it right, Malone and McBroom study, which involves slight realignment of Echo Lake Road leading into that intersection. It involves sidewalk work to bring in ADA compliant ramps and a crosswalk across Echo Lake Road from Porter over to Davalese. And of course, the installation of the signs and the road markings. He is confident that the project will get final DOT approval through the LOTSIP application, which is state funding for the project, and that it will be completed in the next construction season, which obviously would be 2021. He does not anticipate it getting done in 2020. I'm just passing on the message.
And I believe you got that memo in front of you.
Yes, I do.
And I requested this material from him as of last meeting. And I did not get the memo that you have in front of you. That's why I asked. This was sent around 3:30 today, I believe. And it was not sent to me, it was sent to the deputy chief. So I'm just seeing this for the first time, and it's still 2021. Okay, let us move on. Update on action on the intersection of Route 63 and Litchfield Road. I believe that was a request. Again, it is a state highway, and Deputy Chief, do you have any comment on that?
I would curious if B and D are the same agenda item here, Chairman. Route 63 is Litchfield Road. I believe you may be speaking about Litchfield Road at Linkfield, which was brought forth to us from Ms. Elizabeth Street of 320 Linkfield Road.
Right.
In regards to that particular intersection, I, through a motion that the commission made last month, I sent an official email on behalf of the local traffic authority, which is to the State Department of Transportation's Engineering Division, requesting an official study be performed to see if the intersection qualifies for a traffic signal, and I'll read the email. The Watertown Local Traffic Authority has received a complaint from a resident regarding the intersection of Litchfield Road, also known as State Route 63, and Linkfield Road, a town-owned and maintained roadway. Specifically, the complainant states it is very difficult and dangerous to turn left from Linkfield Road onto Litchfield Road southbound due to the high speed of traffic coupled with a limited sight distance. The Watertown Local Traffic Authority concurs that sight distance appears to be limited and is hereby requesting the State Department of Transportation Traffic Engineering Division review this intersection for the stated safety concerns and to consider mitigation strategies such as enhanced warning signage on Litchfield Road, sight distance improvements, and/or warrants for a traffic signal. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Have you gotten anything back?
They told me they will institute that study. It's been approved. They said it takes several months. I'm not anticipating hearing back from them until sometime in 2021.
Okay.
I have informed the complainant of the same.
Thank you. The other one was a request as far as speed. That was Robert D'Onofrio. And I believe there was a lot of communications on Nova Scotia Road. Did you see that particular letter?
I'm sorry, I did not see that, Commissioner.
Okay. It is, dear Officer Guerrera, and I guess the person here, Mr. D'Onofrio, was sending it to Patrice. This request has been undertaken in the past when turning left on Nova Scotia Road after you pass Crystal Rock Water. There is a speed limit sign. It's a request for a speed limit sign in that area, 200 feet down the road, of 25 miles an hour. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, Commissioner, that request was passed on to the Public Works Director.
Okay. We're always run into some kind of roadblock. Okay. New business, we have none. Old business, just an update. We hope to have our next meeting here, our November 11th meeting. I have heard nothing from our attorney. I did speak with him. I again tried to get in touch with him on Monday and also on Tuesday, and he has not gotten back to me. Our attorney is Kevin McSherry, and what I was trying to find out if there has been any sort of movement in resolve of the negotiations, I would hope, with my Hoopity in dealing with the complaints. But I have not heard any. Have you heard anything from your attorney, Josh?
I checked in with him last week. He stated he would be in touch with Attorney McSherry, and I have not heard back yet.
Okay. So we'll see where we go. And again, I think it all hangs on what the direction that my Hoopity will take. We are dealing with complaints and continuing complaints, and it is in his hand as to whether or not he will remain on the municipal toll list. Let us move on to the next matter, Chairman's report. We have a good news, something that I've always would like to see come back when we lost our police dog. We are going to get a new dog, and I believe Chief Bertiger will be able to update us on the dog and name and all.
Josh Berniger, Acting Police Chief. Yes, I am excited to announce that the Watertown Police Department will be starting up our police canine program once again after about 4 years of absence. The department has been without a canine, yes, for about 4 years. The teams aid in the apprehension of criminals, evidence recovery, crowd control, building searches, tracking, and further benefit the department and public relations. The department has purchased a German Shepherd patrol dog from Connecticut Canine Services in Bethany, Connecticut through a generous $8,000 donation from an undisclosed Watertown resident. The dog will be received after the new year and will be named Fran in memory of the donor's mother. Officer Robert Fortier has been selected as Fran's handler. Officer Fortier is a 12-year veteran of the police department and has served as a field training officer and a member of the department's honor guard. Officer Fortier is also a recipient of several departmental awards and commendations. Officer Fortier and Fran will be attending the Connecticut State Police Canine Training Academy in Meriden for several months during the spring of 2021.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, through you.
Yes. Commissioner Jeanette.
Yeah, Acting Chief, I talked to a citizen recently who may be interested in raising funds for a vest for the dog. I'm not sure if you already have funds for a vest, but if you don't, we can talk.
Terrific. I'd be very interested in discussing that.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments? Any other comments from commissioners? Okay. The other matter is regarding the destruction of political signs. I did request and was in the local newspaper that this is a violation of the law, and I do have the announcement here. Police plan to make arrests for stolen and vandalized signs. Watertown Police said that the department has been made aware of vandalism and theft of political campaign signs. The police said these signs, these activities are criminal, and any complaint will be investigated fully. Charges of trespass and criminal mischief and theft may be arrested, and the arrests were made for similar crimes in the past. Victims and action has been taken by the department. To report any incidents, there's a phone number that is given, 860-945-5200. Has there been any arrest, Deputy Chief, on this?
Josh Berniger, Police Chief. We've had 3 complaints so far over the course of this election season for either the theft or damage of political signs. 2 of them, the report was taken with no known suspects and the case suspended. One of them, we did develop a juvenile suspect who was referred to our local juvenile review board.
I think it's very important to note the importance of a sign, and it's very hard. In the past, I would have a course that I would teach, and where students would work in political campaigns. This was high school students, and I would tell them that they should not damage or take anyone's sign. To me, a sign as with a bumper sticker on a car is a part of our basic freedoms that we have in our society. And I would tell them that it's called free speech. And that free speech is when you put that sign on your lawn, which is your property. And when you put a bumper sticker on your car, that is also free speech. You're saying, I hereby support or encourage people to act on behalf of that. And that is a form of that speech that is guaranteed in the Constitution. But a lot of times there is a lot of people who get overly active, are not aware of what damage they are doing by destruction of a sign or tearing off a bumper sticker. So I think it's very important that we remind people this is a form of speech, and we should always go to protect that speech. It's an integral part of our democracy. The next thing is dealing with an event coming up.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
one thing, on the Channel 8 News, either at noon or at 6 o'clock last night, they had a feature on that whole thing about political signs for Watertown. I don't know if anyone saw it. I saw it. And both the Democratic town chairman and the Republican town chairman spoke on camera. So, and it was a very nice feature for them to do.
Well, I'm happy to see that there is interest in that. And I'm glad to hear that. I did not see it
Yeah,
myself.
yeah.
Thank you. The last thing we got, as far as I think in terms of report, I think we should get a warning out along the lines of Halloween. And I don't know how much, young people will be out trick or treating, but there were some incidents where edible marijuana was given out and given to children of very young age in the form of candy, lollipops, and et cetera. So I requested and asked the deputy chief to consider maybe a notice, because I think it's a valuable thing to make people aware of the potential dangers.
And we will post something on our social media site shortly before Halloween.
Been getting a lot of good reaction from the social media site. I think people are looking to that, and the more we can use it, I think the better it is. Thank you. The last item on our agenda is the monthly department report. Do you have something to report there? You all should have this.
Josh Berniger, Acting Police Chief. You have my report before you as far as our monthly statistics. I know you're happy to answer any questions on that. I also have a couple other items to report. Number one, we are completing the background investigation on a lateral applicant, and if all goes well, that applicant should be on board within the coming weeks, which will fill our ranks, which is budgeted for 40 sworn officers. Number two, the Watertown Police Department is in receipt of a generous donation from the Oakville Business Armor Shield. The funds were used to outfit the Watertown Police Department with 20 sets of crowd control equipment, which includes helmet shields and a loudspeaker. So we do have our own equipment now and don't have to borrow from other departments in the instances of any civil unrest. And three, every supervisor in the Watertown Police Department this month will be completing a 4-day Supervisor Leadership Institute course offered by the FBI's Law Enforcement Executive Development Association, otherwise known as LEDA. The attendees will be engaged in personality diagnostics, leadership case studies, mentoring, developing of subordinates, performance management, risk management, and supervisor credibility. I'm excited for what they're going to be learning in that course and bringing back to their everyday duties as supervisors in the agency. And in regards to the donations, it's the support the Watertown Police Department has been receiving by both individuals and businesses from the Watertown and Oakville community has been absolutely unbelievable, and like nothing I've seen over my 20-something year career in law enforcement. It's very encouraging in these difficult times to have that type of support within the community. So we definitely thank all for that.
The one other note, maybe you can comment. I know we've held on it because of the COVID and the problem of funding and whatnot. Progress on the looking into a new police station. We haven't had any further contact?
So I did have a conversation with interim town manager John Gavalis in regards to this about 2 weeks ago. He would like to get this item back onto the town council agenda again in November. As you know, the space needs study and the site survey were presented to town council about a week before COVID struck, which has side railed this project, and we've had significant changes within the town council as well over the past season. Now that we have some stability moving back into town government and the figured out how to work around the COVID situation and hold live meetings again. I'd like to get this back on the agenda. We are at the point where this project can move no further without town council approving a site for the police department. There are 2 more steps for pre-referendum work for this building. One of those is to do a schematic of what the building would look like, and then a professional cost estimate on what the actual building will cost. Neither of which can be completed without knowing where the building would be, because it obviously is going to affect both design and cost. The only town-owned parcel that would support this building currently is the 0 Nova Scotia Hill Road site. Although that appears to be controversial within the town council as to whether we should be using that property or not for the police department. The current property at 195 French Street cannot support a new building. It is all ledge. We have a sewer line that bisects the property, and the vast majority of that property is wetlands, streams that come off the hill and kind of trickle down the property. So the mitigation costs in utilizing that property would be fairly extreme. Outside of using 0 Nova Scotia Hill Road, which is the corner of Nova Scotia Hill and Buckingham Street, the town would have to look into property acquisition, which we'd have to put an RFP out at that point, and would certainly delay the project a little bit. But ultimately, it's up to the town of Watertown through the town council to decide where they would want their police facility to be. And we could be waiting on that decision before the architect can move forward with the rest of the pre-referendum work.
Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? I believe Mrs. Camara did request that she might want to speak one more time. Would you like that? Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
A motion has been made to adjourn by Commissioner Janetti. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made by,
Commissioner Lambeau.
the motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstained, hearing none, motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
So I mentioned to gentlemen.
Let me shut this off.